So last week I talked about how I like to stretch sample rate to make extra guitar layers. This week I'm going to take you through another process that I like to use for making extra layers. So as you could see from the intro, yes, this has to do with a lawnmower. I was listening to some Bloodbath while mowing the lawn one day, and I realized that the sound from the lawnmower was blending with the guitar tones so nicely because of that nice Swedish death metal HM2 sound. And I thought, wow, this motor is really adding some extra oomph to these guitars. So I thought, I want to sample my lawnmower and put that in Pro Tools. I just flung a mic cable out the window, set up my SM7B, hit record. I went through it to make sure I can get the least amount of outside noise that I could and getting more of a consistent note. It took a couple tries, not many, but what I ended up going for was the initial startup noise along with a little bit of held noise and came up with a nice cool sound. After I had that down and I cut out the section that I like, I ran it through Melodyne to find out what note it's at. I found out it was almost a perfect G-sharp 0, so I didn't feel the need to pitch it at all. So after I sliced it up how I wanted, did my fade-ins, fade-outs, that way nothing gets any of that weird noise, consolidated that, exported it, put it on my library hard drive, and I am using Anna 2 to sample it. All I did with Anna 2 was just turn off all the effects stuff, the oscillators. All I wanted was it to trigger this sound. And that sounds like this. And that's the length of the file that I saved. When I was listening to Bloodbath while mowing the lawn, I noticed that it really sounded great with the held notes. And that was my initial thought when I first made this, is that I was only going to use it for held notes and then maybe some tremolo picking. But I ended up liking it for other things as well. So I took the song that I worked with for last week's video and I decided to add some lawnmower to that. So the trick with sampling the lawnmower is to make it really subtle. Because if it's too loud, it's gonna stick out too much. But if you have it just tucked away, it's one of those things where you don't notice it, but if you turn it off, the mix just falls apart and sounds really weak. So I'm gonna go ahead and play out these held note parts without the lawnmower now. I do still have the sample rate layers in here still, so it does have that nice epicness. I just wanted this for something even more, to push it further. Now if you didn't notice it, I'm going to play it again and then turn it off. It's like adding an extra layer of distortion that sits right along with the guitars, but it doesn't take away from the notes because you're sampling it to that. Now if you're curious, I'm going to go ahead and just play it as the lawnmower. So it sounds pretty funny on its own. The only other processing I have on it is basically the same kind of EQ I applied to the guitar. You know, low cut, high cut. And because it is in the lower frequencies, I am notching it out where the bass sits and boosting it around where the snare sits. So you do want to watch out for the snare there. But it does have its own unique sound, so it doesn't make things too muddy or drown out the snare a lot. The only other thing I have going on there is a limiter. I just set the limiter to where I thought it would bring out the right amount of engine rumble. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. Now it's not that drastic of a difference, but it was enough where I liked it. So I'm going to play the section that we did last week. Because I just wanted the low chunks emphasized last week, I didn't do the high notes with the slides and whatnot. So I thought this would be a good time to counter that by having the lawnmower accent those parts. So let me play the lawnmower here. Let's play without and then with. See, it just adds a lot of extra grit to it, but it's still clean. I kind of view it like simulating a distortion or a clipper plugin. You're just adding in some extra harmonics to it. And I don't know, it's just really pleasing to my ears. One other thing to note is that I don't like using this for notes that are too high, because then it gets really weird sounding. Start sounding like those old 90s arcade motorcycle games or something. So with that mindset, here I got this intro part I'll play without the lawnmower. Instead of going up in those octave notes, I just left it riding on the same note. And that was more pleasing to me. I did try using the higher notes, but it doesn't work that great. But yeah, that's it for this week. Just a super simple, quick tip. And you know what? I think I'm going to throw this one in that downloadable file as well. The point of this video being that, experiment with things. It doesn't have to be an instrument to sound cool in a mix. Just look at Stomp for an example. I always thought it was really cool to take things that aren't supposed to be instruments and then making music with it. So with that in mind, go try things out. I might make this sample available. I'm undecided on that yet. Let me know what you think. Using the same thought process of not everything being an instrument, got a cool little thing I want to try with this little wired phone that I just got. We're going to go on a journey together with that one. Anyway, that's it for this week, guys. Take care, like the video, subscribe. You're making me say it now because the last video did not do well. See you guys later.